Red Hot Chili Peppers are one of the biggest bands of all time. They sold 120 million albums, made it to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and been nominated for multiple Grammys. And their drummer Chad Smith is one of the most famous drummers in the entire world. But what is it about his drumming that's made him so irreplaceable? Well, after studying hundreds of hours of footage, I found 6 drumming secrets that cemented Chad Smith as one of the most impossible drummers in human history. Now, there is one golden rule of drumming that Chad Smith breaks all the time. And typically drummers who follow this rule sound better live, land more gigs, and are typically better drummers overall. And the golden rule is this: play your drum parts live like they're recorded on the album. But Chad Smith says, that.
Sweetheart is bleeding in the snow cone. So smart, she's leading me to ozone. Sweetheart bleeding in the snow cone. So smart, she's leading me to ozone.
Chad Smith loves to improvise on stage, and while he has recorded some truly iconic drum parts, at his concerts, he will deviate from these parts often and sometimes just play whatever the heck he wants in the moment.
You know, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, we do a lot of improvising, and a lot of our music that we write comes from jamming and improvising.
This means that every Red Hot Chili Peppers concert sounds a little bit different, which gives the audience a brand new way to hear the songs every single time they see them play live. Now, does this mean that you should also break the golden rule of drumming every time you play live? No, God! You see, improving is in the DNA of the Red Hot Chili Peppers band as a whole. And unless that DNA is baked into your band, you're typically going to stand out in a bad way. However, there is a little bit of room to spice up any song that you play live. I typically tell drummers that adding 5 to 7% of improv in your drum beats or your fills can add a bit of excitement to your overall live show. But you'll know you'll have taken it too far when your main focus is just adding more for the sake of more and trying to get more attention as a drummer. Now, I'm gonna rank being an improv master as hard because it can be very difficult to pull out new ideas at a moment's notice and make sure that they sound good. If you wanna learn my full system to gain ultimate freedom on the kit and improv all your beats and fills, well, then check out my course, Improve Your Improv, on my online drum school, DBO Academy. Did you hear about the time that Chad Smith did one of the most unthinkable things at the 2005 Modern Drummer Festival? Well, he got invited to play alongside some legendary drummers like JoJo Mayer, Chris Adler, and even a 14-year-old Eloy Casagrande. Now, at a drum festival, this is the time where you want to show off your drum skills more than anyone because you are performing to an audience of just drummers. But when it was Chad Smith's turn, he played this. And 5 minutes later, he was still playing the same thing. This is insane because you can tell that the crowd is going crazy and he hasn't changed a single thing about what he's played. And this is one of Chad Smith's biggest strengths as a drummer. He is a king of groove. Chad Smith puts groove over everything, and according to him, it's one of the most important things you can do as a drummer.
How do you get a gig though? Gotta play a groove. Gotta play that groove like hard and as deep as you can, man.
But how do you get to a point where you can develop groove within your own drumming? Step 1 is to pick a very basic drum beat. Step 2 is to play this drum beat for 10 minutes straight without deviating at all. I'm talking no drum fills, no crash hits, just this one drum beat. Now here's what's gonna happen. The first couple minutes, you're going to be pretty bored of playing this same beat, but then after that time period, something really interesting is gonna start happening. You're going to to start analyzing how you play beats in a new way. You're gonna start to go a level deeper. During this time, your brain's gonna start to naturally analyze dynamics. How hard are you hitting your snare, your kick? And then from there, you'll start dialing in things within your timing, like are your notes perfectly spaced on your hi-hat? Once you're able to start making these very tiny tweaks and improvements to the overall drum beat, this is what's going to improve your groove overall. Too many drummers don't have the patience for it, so they only analyze their beats on a surface level, which can oftentimes sacrifice the ultimate detail needed to have expert level groove. Now I'm gonna rank being a groove king as impossible, because this is what separates Chad Smith from almost every other drummer. Now there's a secret step that I haven't told you yet that makes Chad Smith's grooves even groovier. And a lot of drummers who ignore this end up with beats that kind of just sound like a caveman hitting a rock with a stick. Watch these clips to see if you can spot the technique that he uses. Now the technique Chad Smith uses here is called ghost notes. And this is something that a lot of people may not hear, but overall they feel it. And trust me, if you add these to your beats and fills, it will add so much groove and dynamics to your overall playing. The way I try to think about it is hitting a drum where my drumstick is only about 3 inches off of the head. So it's a very small stroke with a very small sound. If you want to learn some of my favorite ghost note grooves that help me incorporate them into my playing, well, I put them all together for you in some playable notation completely for free. Click the link below and I will send them right over to you. Now I'm gonna rank ghost notes as easy because it's just playing a simple quiet note that you can throw into grooves that you already know that instantly add more texture to them and make them sound better. There's this really weird thing that Chad Smith does with his feet that I've honestly never seen any other drummer do, but he says it's his secret weapon for keeping perfect time. This hack is immensely important to his overall drumming, and he literally never stops doing it.
Yeah, I just do it, and
It's part of the sound.
it's part of the sound.
He's an immaculate timekeeper, and because of this hack, his drumming always sounds insanely accurate. Check out these clips and watch his feet. Did you catch what he's doing with his legs? He's constantly bouncing them, even when he's not playing drums at all. Now, some drummers do this with their hi-hat foot, but Chad Smith doubles down and does it with both feet at the same time. In doing this, he's created a natural metronome within his body that allows him to keep better time consistently.
It's a young child that had a lot of nervous energy. You know, the limbs are moving all the time. It's like the pistons in an engine. And
what's so crazy about this is that even though both of his legs are moving constantly, there's no additional sounds coming from his hi-hat or his bass drum. So if you wanted to adopt this to be more aligned with the metronome, here's how to do it. First, you want to play both pedals with your heel up. This means your toes are planted firmly on the pedals, but your heel is lifted up. Next, you want to keep your pedals pressed down when you are not playing your notes. So your hi-hat is pressed closed and your kick drum beater is pressed up against the bass drum head, even when you're not playing. From there, you can bounce your legs as eighth notes to keep time with the metronome. Now, I'm gonna rank Chad's happy feet as hard because it is hard to have your legs move without having either your kick drum or your hi-hat playing. Plus, it forces additional movement from your body, even when there's already a lot of movement happening in drumming alone. Now, there's a fatal trap that a lot of drummers fall into that will typically get them kicked out of their band before their music career even starts. And this trap looks a lot like this.
For I am yours, and you are mine.
Turns out if you play too many notes, you can actually end up ruining the entire song. But Chad Smith has actually done something similar in the past. Now there's actually a huge difference between the first clip and the second clip, and it's what makes Chad Smith such a genius drummer. Now in the first clip, the drummer is detracting from what is supposed to be happening and drawing way more attention to himself than what was necessary. But in the second clip, Chad is actually supposed to be the center of attention. So what he is doing matches the situation. But when he's playing with Red Hot Chili Peppers, everything he plays fits the band perfectly like a glove. Like this. And this. Now, Chad Smith has a chaotic drumming style, but it is controlled chaos. You'll never hear him playing something that doesn't fit the music. That's why on top of playing drums for Red Hot Chili Peppers, he's played for tons of massive artists like Ozzy Osbourne, Post Malone, and Halsey. If you want to replicate this controlled chaos for yourself, here is a process I would follow. First, pick a song that represents your drumming well. Perform it as if you were performing in front of 10,000 screaming fans. During this performance, you want to hit your drums with passion and perform with energy in a way that would elevate the whole band. This is a small but a hugely important detail that I work with my mentorship students on all the time. And then step 3 is to record the performance, but there's one very important note here. For example, if you're playing a Red Hot Chili Pepper song, I want you to play with the accuracy and intense energy as if you were submitting this video of yourself to the band to be their new drummer. Trust me, this process will elevate you in a big way, and if you ever do get a call from a big band, you will be ready for it because you've gone through this process enough times. I'm gonna rank Controlled Chaos as frustratingly difficult because some drummers focus way too much on the chaos part and some drummers focus way too much on the controlled part. But it's very difficult to balance both in perfect harmony and to hold yourself to the highest standard. The way Chad Smith uses his cymbals is unlike any other drummer I've seen. Check out what he does with his hi-hats here. Now let's check out what he does with this crash cymbal. Now all drummers open their hi-hats and play crash cymbals, but it's where Chad Smith opens his hi-hat and plays his crash cymbals that makes him so freaking unique. Now to elevate your cymbal creativity like Chad Smith, there are 2 simple things that you can do. One is look for odd placements for open hi-hat notes. The biggest cheat code I can give you here is if you put open hi-hats on the E or the of almost any beat, you'll immediately have a more unique open hi-hat game. Step 2, to up-level your overall crash cymbal creativity, all you have to do is throw in crashes on the same E's and U's in the middle of a groove instead of always playing on beat 1 at the start of a groove. When you pull this off, you will immediately create more creative drum parts with simply changing one little note in your beat. Now I'm gonna rank cymbal creativity as easy because all you have to do is change one tiny note and you instantly get a more creative beat. And if you want even easier ways to up-level your creativity as a drummer, then you've got to check out the secrets that I've broke down for the impossible drumming of 21 Pilots right here.